And so this idea of grabbing attention, engaging people, and taking action, I think it's kind of obvious. But a lot of this ties to the simple framework that you have to engage in each of these activities and be thoughtful about it. And it gets like really chaotic, but it can be really powerful when you sort of go thoroughly through the process. In retrospect, sort of what's effective, create a campaign that others can build upon. Don't think you have to do it all yourself. Nobody should have to ask you permission. Hey, can I help contribute? They should be empowered and enabled to take this and run with it entirely on their own. Nobody should have to give you a phone call to say, hey, what can I do? They should know exactly what they should do. It can scale. So Dale talked about the fact that there's no boundaries on time or page views. There shouldn't be barriers for people attaching themselves and helping you get the campaign running. Community and this idea of a central place where there can be blog posts, communication, interaction, really critical because it's like that hub, it's like home base. People want somewhere to come back to. And the amazing thing, like I said, we don't even know who created a lot of this collateral. You won't know where this will go. There will be unanticipated outcomes, and usually it's a really good thing. Key lessons, have a very clear goal. Our goal was number of people registered. Keeping things simple, it just helps everybody really understand what you're focused on. This idea of act first, then think. If you spend too much time thinking about it, you're wasting time not taking action. So this concept that Jennifer talks a lot about, which is reverse the rules. Like think of the traditional way to do something, and then stop for a second and say, well, what if I did the exact opposite? And for us, it was just running at 1,000 miles per hour, but it was very effective because this idea that always move forward, right, regardless of what you're doing, and you'll figure out like if it's going to work or not if you try it. If you don't try it, you'll never know. And this other concept, think big. And then throw out all those ideas, all your metrics, and then think 10 times bigger. Because you have to think at that scale in order to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Tell the story, be truthful. This whole idea of having a human voice and letting the person who's being affected speak out and have that voice emerge. Vinay and Samir actually had slightly different styles. Like Samir was just like, yeah, put me out there. It's like, I don't care, talk about me, tell me what you need me to do. Vinay was a little bit more reserved, but still the story was very human, and it was very obvious through the photos and through the voice of how they blogged and what people said, who were also part of the campaigns. Enable others to help, so create the right architecture. This is the one area we did spend a lot of time on up front, which is we put the foundation in place, and then you can actually scale. So one example, we sent an email out once Samir gave us the permission to use his name and sort of start the campaign, and spent a lot of time on that message, probably like, I don't know, half a day, just a 3-paragraph email, just getting it all right. Showed it to a lot of people, changed it, edited it, like 4 or 5 hours on this email. We send it out, and one of the calls to action in that email was to sort of send it to somebody else. And our best estimate is that, and this was started in Silicon Valley, I sent it to the eBay and PayPal distribution lists. A friend at Oracle sent it out to their distribution list to the South Asian community. Our best estimate is that within 48 hours, we hit over 50,000 people in Silicon Valley and beyond with that one email message. And it was great because it was so crisp and clear and concise. We built it right to start with that it just spread like wildfire, and the campaigns, it was a great catalyst for the campaign. So there's certain things you want to spend time on to get right, because when it scales, it will absolutely scale. This idea of empowerment marketing, Sandeep wrote the blog post on this. You guys should check it out. It's awesome. It's these ideas of great social enterprises like Kiva and sort of other enterprises enable others to spread the word for you. Be clear about your metric. Our metric, there's all these metrics we could have measured, right? It was number of people registered. And this whole idea that, like I said earlier, if you try it all, something's going to work. So don't fall in love with the ideas that you have. Try everything and find something that's going to be effective, and you'll know it really quickly. Double down on it, and then invest all of your resources in really focusing on the things that will work. You're going to need help. And like any good entrepreneur starting a company will tell you, you could go ask people for help, and they'll say no, right? They'll reject you, and you'll get a lot of no's. Or you can actually tell people, here's what I need from you. And it's a very subtle shift in mindset and approach of how you interact with folks. When you ask, you open yourself up to rejection. If you tell somebody what you need, you're really not giving them an option, right? And they may try to say no, but if you're persistent enough, they'll respond. And so, great case with Vinay's campaign. We wanted somebody who could really help push this forward in a big way that could be a catalyst for really scaling the campaign. And they got it, a letter from Barack Obama saying, hey, I support Help Vinay, and I think that this is really important. And now you have this asset that you can leverage and use and scale the campaign with. Incredibly powerful. Same goes with celebrities, same goes with other people like PR firms and individuals that you need help from. So clear goal, tell your story, think big, then think even bigger. Create the right architecture and design for collaboration. Ensure that your team is working closely together every single day. Let others tell your story. Be very clear about what your metrics are. Try, fail. You'll succeed eventually. You absolutely will. And then don't ask for help. Just tell people that they need to help you. Positive initial outcome from these campaigns. Samir had his transplant. He relapsed, which is very common with AML, the form of leukemia that he had. Fought really, really, really hard. And I think the most devastating thing for us was that in the end, we couldn't beat the cancer. And it was very frustrating and very devastating, not because it's like we put in all this work and it sort of failed, but that we knew that there was a positive outcome here, and we were out to beat the odds, and it took the confidence that we had to achieve the results that we achieved. But despite that, we were fighting something that's just so hard and unpredictable. And as much as you do, there will always be things that are outside of the scope of your control. Sadly, Samir, our best friend, passed away. That was earlier in March of 2008. This is a photo of Samir in his last week with his wife, Rena. This is at University of Washington Hospital in Seattle. And we visited him quite a bit. We have a lot of funny stories because we knew he was listening to us. He would squeeze our hand. He wasn't conscious. But it was really amazing to be able to spend that time with him. And we knew that he knew that we left no stone unturned. And to us, had he passed away and there were any doubt in our minds that there was something else that we could do, I think that would be the hardest thing for us to live with. Rather, in classic Samir style, we fought hard and we did triumph. We did everything we could. And we celebrated his memorial and his funeral. And we thought, well, the best way to do that was to just share the story with as many people as possible. So with the memorial service in Seattle, we actually did a live web stream and webcast. And we had hundreds of people from around the world who otherwise would have in no way been able to be part of the last moments of his life actually tune in for the webcast. And we had recorded it, and we got thousands of views in the first 7 weeks. And we put up a slideshow. These things are still up on his site, and we had thousands of views on the slideshow as well. And so this idea that you can use technology to break down barriers and boundaries is incredibly powerful. And that's why all of this content is still up, is to be able to help other folks. Sadly, Vinay also relapsed, and just a few months after Samir's passing, had also passed away. This story is not over. 24,000 people registered. Asia gave me a new update, 7,500 people here in the Bay Area alone. And you talk about having a purpose, to your lives. 80 new matches have been found for new patients just from that 7,500 alone. And you scale that nationally, and you look at all the registries around the country. This is legacy. Potentially up to 250 matches, which means up to 250 new lives saved because of Samir and Vinay in the past 12 months alone, right? This is this stuff stays in the registry and goes on for years. And so this is how social media and the force of people coming together to address problems and issues like this can be really powerful. And when we look at this, clearly both of these guys were just amazing people and amazing champions, because people's lives will now be saved due to what they had to go through. Vinay wants 50,000 people in the registry. This was his wish, and I know somehow we're going to figure out how to do this and get there. And, just to leave you with some final thoughts, I think all of us in the campaign would share this, that big revolutions, start with simple ideas and ordinary people. So this idea that there's a constraint is irrelevant. The biggest asset you have is to think clearly and to take a very big idea and run with it. So what we would tell you, all of us in the campaign, is find that starting point, right? What's that ignition point? And you should be the catalyst. Go ignite that and run after your idea, because it can be really powerful and help save many, many lives. Okay.